The world isn't fair. C'est la vie. Life's just tough. Who's been told any of that before? By a parent, by a friend, by anyone, really. Maybe you were complaining about something that happened to you that you thought was especially unfair. And the other person listening to you, they just shrug it off, saying that phrase. And maybe you even felt like they just said it to shut you up. This has happened to me a couple times, of course, and I presume it's happened to all of you at least a couple of times as well. I've been lucky enough for those times to be relatively not that serious, but they still happen. For example, a year back I won a scholarship, but if I accepted it, I'd have to go 2 years back to grade 9. They couldn't give me a higher offer because I was Indonesian, and as most of you in this room may know, the state of education in Indonesia isn't the best. I talked to my mom about it, of course, and what she said was just the world isn't fair. And I think to myself, she's right. I mean, of course she is. I probably already knew that fact a long time before, and maybe I even knew that before the phrase was first ever said to me, just by virtue of the great gift of thinking and observing. Of course, my friends have experienced this as well. We were all kids at some point, asking the same questions, like, why do some people have much more money than others? Why are some people more unlucky than others? Simple. The world isn't fair. And even now, things still happen to them that, if complained about, can be answered with that one phrase. People create fake sob stories all the time, those that throw my friends under the bus, and for some inexplicable reason, other people, they tend to gravitate towards those fake stories. But what can we say? The world isn't fair. But it always feels like that one answer isn't enough. Is the world itself fair? The world we live in now, that could mean the earth itself, or the universe, or the world we've created for ourselves, imperfect political systems and all. We can now focus on those questions. Is the world fair? When we ask ourselves that, we're thinking about all the systems we've created for ourselves. The systems we uphold, the systems our politicians create for us, the systems we're forced to live in. We, as humans, we tend to overthink things a lot. That's how we got to this question in the first place. We also have biases and thus opinions regarding what is fair and unfair. They're going to shift one person to another. And that alone, it keeps everything from being perfectly fair. And as a result of that, we can ask ourselves this new question. Is it possible to live in a completely fair world? Can we create systems which help absolutely everyone? The perfect solution, it most likely exists, but can we implement them in its perfect form? Most likely not. We're all stuck in an Ouroboros of self-destructive cycles and systems. That's because we all want to find greener pastures for ourselves. And as long as we feel like we lack something, our world will shift to an overabundance of that something. It's all quite bleak, yes, but we must also ask ourselves a different question. Is the universe fair? It isn't fair or unfair. I don't think we can apply such human concepts to something so huge and vast and infinite. That's just nonsense in my opinion. And it also implies a sort of intentionality that the universe has to everything, and that's not possible if it isn't conscious, which, as far as we know, it isn't. Asking ourselves, is the Earth fair, yields a similar result. It's a rock in the middle of space. It cannot be fair or unfair to one of the 8 billion people on its surface. And all of this, I think, implies something. It implies that this world we live in, it isn't set on this sort of collision course into certain fairness or unfairness. We already kind of knew that, but we have to remind ourselves that it gets to a certain point. The world isn't going to end up becoming unfair, barren wasteland of horrible ideas and policies just because it was set to do that by the universe itself. No. But if any massive changes to our world will never even happen, it doesn't mean we should all just sulk around and wallow in our own pity. There's still something we can do. Speak up, stand for, and defend for what you believe in. Speak up about your experiences and speak up about any injustices you see. And even if it's something small, or even if you speak up about it to someone that doesn't have the power to change your situation, you're still making that situation known. You're still opening the doors for justice to be served, for someone to comfort you and support you appropriately. And It doesn't mean that it's easy to speak up. In many scenarios, it's terrifying, petrifying actually. And many times there are consequences to speaking up as well. Consequences that we don't want to face or we don't want to know even exist. The world we've created for ourselves, again, isn't fair enough for all of us to be fearless and brave just like that. And that's all right. You can take your time. You can really think about what you want to do, but consider the consequences also if you don't speak up. Even if you speak up to someone you see as incapable of doing anything about the situation at hand, you can just do it. A shared sorrow is half a sorrow after all. How will it affect the situation if you don't speak up? How will it influence other people? You don't even have to state it out loud explicitly. You can use your hands, make art, make statements that don't explicitly yell out what you want to say. Make it fun while you're at it, make it interesting. Everything you do carries a statement with it. I mean, sure, I can't do much about that scholarship. I can't just talk the higher ups of that program into changing such a policy overnight with any sort of wit or charm, but talking about it to my friends, to my parents, it already made me feel so much better. And maybe if my voice becomes stronger in the future, I could help ensure that such a policy wouldn't be needed in the first place. It certainly wasn't easy for my friend to speak up about the bullying they faced and the lies that were spread about them. Speaking up about those issues didn't entirely solve them or even ease all the emotional pain. And that's okay. You can't expect everything to be solved instantly just like that. And since we've established before, the world isn't fair enough for that. However, speaking up did make it quite a bit easier. Action, however minimal, it was still achieved. And all of that phased out and eventually phased out in about, 1.5 years? It was hard. It was painful to do all that, but it did make it better. And really, it was a lot to do. It seems like a lot, and it was. And that's because it feels hopeless sometimes. Hope has been trampled over by our own feet many times, and as bloody as she may be, we can always lend a helping hand by speaking up. If we speak up, then maybe, just maybe, we can make it a more bearable world for everyone, including Hope herself. Just know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, no matter how soft its glow may be. Thank you.